In this video, we will be customizing your blog pages. Now, in the previous video, we customized our blog. We added a sidebar, we customized the archive blog page, and we also customized the single blog post page as well. So if you missed that video, check that one out so you can further customize your blog. But in this video, we are customizing the home page, about page, contact page, and we are creating a dedicated blog page. So now let's log into our WordPress backend and get to work.
So right now your homepage is just the feed of posts, and it does have the sidebar on the side. So the first thing we're gonna do is customize that with the recipe blog homepage, which is the free template that we installed from one of the starter templates of Kadence. So in order to do that, first we're going to design the homepage, and then we will switch that out so that it replaces this feed. So for that, we're gonna go back into our dashboard and go to pages. Now, we did mention when we installed the free starter template that you would leave the home page, the about page, and the contact page there. So for that, we're going to go into the home page. And if you hover over it, you can click on edit. Now, this is what the template gave us, just very basic. And we're just going to replace a couple of things and modify what we feel is needed. The first thing is when you're working with Kadence, everything is in containers. And as you can see here, all of these different kind of blocks, everything here is a separate block if you click on stuff, but everything is within one big container. The way that you can tell that something is inside of a container is by looking at this little menu bar that pops open for the block. And if you can see here, it has the row layout first, but if you click on the text, it actually has the main customization options for the text, but then it has this thing here, which is select the parent block, which is the section. Now the section still has a parent, which is the row. And now we've reached to one that doesn't have a parent. So that is your main container for the section. So that's kind of how you know where you are within the Kadence design environment. So the first thing I want to do is I want to change this background that is just showing as a gray background. The reason it's showing like that is because it probably had an image and we deleted that image. But I am going to give this just a plain color background. So making sure that you are in that parent row layout, we're going to go to the right hand side and we're going to look at the settings. So over on this sidebar that you always have on the right hand side where it says block, that is where you're going to have all the customization settings for your Kadence blocks or your WordPress blocks. But with Kadence, you have way more options for customization. So as you can see here, we have two columns on this row, which is this section here. If you hover over them, you see that it selects them, and I'm going to leave it just the way it is. So I'm not going to touch any of that. What I am going to change is the color of the background. Now you can also add an image if you want, but for the purposes of this, just simple color, and that is on the style tab. So once you go to the style tab, you have your background settings. If you're putting a color, you need to make sure that you have the type classic selected. You can also do a gradient, and you can change the colors of the gradient here by clicking on these little dots. And you can also add images as well. And you can also add images. As you can see down here, it says background image. Now this is the one we deleted, so I'm going to make sure that I remove that. But if you wanted to add an image, you can just select an image here and upload your image. But in this case, I am just going to keep this on classic without an image selected. And I'm going to change the color right here where it says select color. If you click on that, you actually have access to all of your standard brand colors from your color palette from the customizer. I'm going to select for now this lighter green color, and then we'll see how this looks with all the rest of things. So now that that is done, I am going to add an image. This does not have an image because it had an image in the background, but we do have this column right here on the right-hand side, which has nothing in it. You can see that it has a plus sign, meaning that you can add blocks to it. So what I'm going to do is just hover over this right-hand side column, and I'm going to click on the plus sign, which is add a block, and I'm going to start typing image. Now, because we are using everything Kadence blocks on this page, I am going to use the Kadence block option instead of the WordPress block option. And you can tell that one is Kadence and one is WordPress simply by the color. The blue ones are the Kadence blocks. That will give us a little bit more control of settings. And since we are designing the whole page in Kadence, it's not going to be a problem. So I'm going to insert the image, and then I'm going to upload the image that I want to use. So once you have the image uploaded, in this case, I'm going to use this image. I did upload a transparent background PNG, which we showed you how to do in the first customizer, which we were working on the logo. But for that, I'm going to choose this PNG, insert that here. And as you can see, that looks nice with the color background. But because this image does cut here, I want to make sure that I remove all of this extra space so that it looks like the image ends with the actual color of that block. So I'm going to go back into the row, and I'm going to just get rid of all of this space, which you can simply do by using your cursor and dragging this up. Or you can also go into the right-hand side settings. And as you can see now, the settings change to the row layout. And in the advanced tab, you have the padding and the margin that you can work with. So already by me dragging that up, it made the bottom padding 0. So that took care of that. And I'm also going to put the margin at 0. So now that we have fixed the space at the bottom, I do want to make also the space at the top a little smaller. So I'm going to do the same, click on the row container and just drag that so that it's smaller. So then the last thing that we have to do to change this first row layout is change the text over here. So in this case, it said love cooking. It was a recipe blog, but this is a baking blog. I'm just going to change this to love baking. And then the other thing that I do want to change, because I don't like the particular color combination with this, is I want to change the color of this first word. Now, when you see text that has two different colors on the same line, meaning on the same block, that means it's done through Kadence with the advanced highlight. If you click into the one that you want to change, which is the one that has a different color in this case, as you can see, the little more is black now versus the one that has the straight color of the block, which was white. So once we click into here, we know there are more settings selected because of that change of color on the arrow. So I'm going to click on that. And the one that is selected that has a difference is the advanced highlight. If you click on it, it's going to actually remove it. If you wanted to keep it and just change the color, all you have to do is go over to the right-hand side to your settings in the Kadence block and go to advanced highlight settings. Now here you can actually choose the color, or even you can change the font, but we're going to keep things very simple, remember. So we're just going to change the color to something else. So I'm going to change it to our orange from the branding color palette, and that's that. Now, if you wanted this to be a different size or anything like that, you can also change that here. As you can see, you have the font size, line height, you have advanced typography. So if you wanted to change the font of that, because this is just using the universal settings for an H1, you can add a lot of other things here. But again, try to keep this as simple as possible. And then the other thing that I'm going to change is this tagline right here. So I'm just going to select that and replace it with the one that we had. I'm not going to change anything else on it, but again, same like with the previous one. If you wanted to change anything, settings, size, font, colors, all the settings are on your right hand side. And the last thing that I'm going to do on this block is I'm going to make sure that this button for view recipes goes to our blog page. And the button is just going to take people straight to your blog page, which we haven't created yet, but we know what we're going to name the links. So to change the button, you just click on the button. You can change the text that people see, which for this, I'm just going to say read my blog. And again, all the settings are on the right hand side. So as you see here, this is a single button and the button link is right here. So I'm going to edit that. And the name that we're going to give to our blog page is simply blog. So the domain stays the same. Make sure that you include all the HTTPS and the full domain, then slash, and the name that you give to the URL of the page that you want to send them to, or maybe you want to send them to a specific category. So that will depend on how you want to organize people and where you want them to go as your main structure. So for this, it's just going to be the blog page. So it's just the domain / blog, and then click on the little arrow, and that's going to submit it. When it's submitted, you see it in blue with a little arrow that you can actually click and test. And for that, the first section is now complete. Now, if you want to see how this looks on mobile or tablet, you can also do that. The way you're going to test that out, it's always best that you test it out on an actual device, because this is not going to be 100%, but you can simply click on this button at the very top on the right that looks like a little computer screen, and if you hover over it, it says view. If you click on it, you're going to have a couple of different options. So you can click on desktop, tablet, or mobile. Now, before you click on it, I do recommend you click save so that you don't lose any of your information. And now I'm going to click on the mobile just to see how things look straight from the template that Kadence gave us. So I'm going to click on mobile, and this is what a mobile view is going to look like. Now, from here, you can also make changes, which is very convenient. For example, if you think that this is too low, it works the same as you were doing before. You click on it, you see the container, you see the settings, and you can simply drag that up a little bit. So it works pretty much the same. If you think that your font is a little bit too big on something, like for example here, I feel like that's a little bit too big, you can go on the settings on the side and change that there. So a little bit smaller, and I think that looks better. Again, if you want a little bit more space between things, you can work with this from here as well, which I think is very convenient. And this thing here needs a little bit less space there. And that's basically how that first section is looking for mobile. So for now, that looks good to me. I'm going to switch back to the desktop view. So now, as you can see, the button looks like a little phone because we're in the mobile view. So you can click on that, go back to desktop. And now you have made different changes for mobile and for desktop. As you can see, nothing changed here. So all the changes we did on mobile are only for the mobile view. But that way you make sure that everything looks good, because again, most people are going to be visiting your website from their mobile devices. So you always want to make sure that everything looks good from there. Now, again, I'm going to click save just because we want to make sure we don't lose anything. And I'm going to move on to the next section. Now, from this particular template, it was already feeding the latest recipes, but it's actually just the latest blog post. So I'm just going to change, and I'm just going to call it latest posts as opposed to just latest recipes. Now, the next thing that I want to have on this main page are the types of categories of posts, like the main pillar types of content, so that if they can only see these three things here, they know that there's other types of content on the side. So actually, Unfortunately, all of this right here is not necessary for now. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that by clicking on, again, the main container. So you want to make sure that you are on the one that doesn't have the little parent block icon. So I'm clicking on the main container, clicking on the three dots right here, and then click delete. And that's going to delete that whole section right there. And I'm going to do the same for the subscribe section. So again, I'm on the main one and I'm going to click the three dots and click delete. So as of right now, our homepage is just these two things right here. And what I'm going to do is click out of it so that it now gives us a new block cursor. And I'm going to click on the blue plus sign at the top. This is the block inserter. Now you can build out anything you want directly individually by just building out Kadence blocks, but you can also use the Kadence templates that they give you. Some are free, some are premium. We're just going to use everything free. And for now, just to make it easier and it is your first time trying this out, we're going to use their free templates. So I'm going to click on the design library at the top. So this is going to give you access to the Kadence blocks that are already designed and you can just kind of plug and play. So I'm going to click on that and then their whole layout of different kinds of blocks that you can add is going to come up. As you can see, some don't have the premium button. So we are definitely not clicking on anything that is premium. And the one that I am going to tell you to choose and add onto your site is columns 27. So you're just going to put that in the search right here. And this is what you're going to see. You're going to click on that and that is going to now import all of that design and settings into the blog post. So you just have to give it a second. And now you have that on your site. So we're going to make a couple of adjustments to this. The first one is, as you can see, there's a little bit of white space right here versus how this one goes all the way to the edge. So we're going to fix that by make sure that you're clicking on the main pattern block. And then we're going to click on this icon right here, which says align. So if you click on that, you can choose full width. And as you can see now, that goes all the way to the edges. I'm going to change the color of the background here. So again, click on the main block and go over on the right-hand side to style. Again, I'm using a solid color, but if you wanted to use a background, you can. But I'm going to choose a solid color. And for this one, I'm going to pick the beigey color that we have here. So it's a little bit softer because we want to make sure the images stand out. So the first thing I'm changing is the title right here. And I'm going to just call that categories. And then I'm going to change each one of these images. Now I have 4 here. We did create 5 categories, but I'm just going to display 4 for now. In order to change the image, you're going to click on the image that is already here. And now, as you can see, you have an image settings for this block, but it's also inside of a section, which is inside of a row. So we're going to only work with the settings right here. And if you go on the right-hand side, this is where you can change the image from here. So you can remove the image by clicking on the X. And now to add the image, the new one, you can either import it from here or right from the display of the image here. So I'm going to select an image for this category. Now this is going to be our cookies category. I don't have a cookies picture, but you should have a picture that matches your category, but I am only going to select the cupcakes. So once you select it or you upload it and then click select, that is going to change here. Now I also want this to show as a square and not a long vertical portrait kind of image. So I also have a size ratio right here. So you can click on that and choose square if you also want that to be the case. So now you want to make sure that this image links to your category. So you're going to copy the link of your category. I have the categories page open on another tab right here. So I'm going to choose the cookies. And to reach to this, it's under your dashboard. On the left-hand side, it's posts and then categories. And that's basically how I got to this, which is our whole list of the categories. And if you hover over it, there is this view text right here. You can right-click on that and copy the link. That's going to give you the link directly to that category page. And then I'm going to come back over here. And now we have to add the link to this image. Again, on the right-hand side, you have all of your settings. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, there is a link setting right here. And then you can just paste your link right here and then click the arrow, which is going to submit. It is also recommended that you add a text link because this is only an image. So for screen readers, it should have a text. So I'm going to say cookie recipes. So that way it's all done. You can also add the alt text for your image, which if you've already added that when you were uploading the image, it's going to bring that in as well. And now this one is fully done. I will just change the text underneath here to make that cookie recipe. And I also want to make sure that I center that. So once you're in a text block, you have settings here at the top, and you also have settings on the right-hand side. The alignment of the text is right here. So right now it's left aligned. So I'm going to make that center aligned. And it is currently set up as an H2. So you kind of have to go back to the same ideas of your blog post. What is your H1? what is your H2 for SEO purposes. So it does make sense that cookie recipes, we can leave it as that. If you wanted to change that and make it regular text, you can also change that by clicking on the H2 and switching that out right here. But that's going to be entirely up to you and how you're structuring the SEO of this page. So I'm going to go ahead and change all the other ones. So now all of the images have been changed and all of them are linked. The text underneath them has been changed and it's centered. So all of it is done. I do feel like the categories header looks a little bit too big. So if you wanted to change that, again, you click on the text, you have your settings right here, but your size of text is on the right-hand side. It is currently set for extra large. You have small, medium, large, extra large. But if you have a specific number, you can also enter that. You do that by toggling here where it says set custom size, and you can just change the number as well. So if you want to go back to the buttons, you just toggle that back and you can go to the buttons. So I'm just going to put it as large and leave it like that. So pretty much that is all how I want this to look. I'm going to click save and we're going to give one more look at what the mobile version of this page is looking like. So again, I'm going to click on the desktop button at the top and click on mobile. So now this is what it's looking like. So the first part we had already fixed. Now the second part is the latest post. I feel like that's enough space here. This is all good the way it's showing. It has also some space before the categories. The only thing that I can see here, because everything looks fine to me, is the fact that there's more space at the top and there is no space at the bottom. So I'm going to make sure I make this a little bit smaller and down here a little bit bigger. So they're both now on medium, which that way it looks nice and even. And I'm going to switch back to desktop now, give it another save. And now all of those settings are good on desktop and mobile. And the last thing we're going to do is add a subscription to your newsletter. Now we do recommend with our video that basically tells you how to start blogging for less than $50 a month that you use a free Substack newsletter. And with a Substack newsletter, you're going to have an embed code of the sign up form. I don't recommend that you use that. It will create some issues on the back end and make your site a little bit slower. So you don't want to use the embed code for that, but you will get a page, which is basically your subscribe page link. Generally is your URL for your Substack /subscribe. So that link, we're going to just add that as a button for people to go and sign up for that underneath this. So we're going to add another section, and that's going to be our last section for this page. So to add the block for the subscription, we're going to go back in the design library because again, we want to make sure everything is nice and easy for you to start. So design library, and you're going to search again through the Kadence patterns. And we're going to search for subscribe. As you can see, you have this subscribe block right here, which is free. The other ones are premium, but we're going to click on that one. It's going to import all those settings to the page. And now once it's here, again, we're just going to modify a couple of things. The first thing, because we have a color background on the previous block, is I want to make the background white on this one. So with that row layout selected, remember, always make sure that you are on the main pattern, meaning that there is no parent block button next to it. We're going to go over to the style, and I'm just going to change the color right here to white. Then I'm going to change the text and call this get the latest by email. I feel it's a little bit big. So again, we're going to change the text size on the right-hand side to large. And then we can just change this small text right here. So I've gone ahead and changed that text. I'm not going to modify the look of the text. I think it looks good. Now, again, I told you that we're just going to add a link to your subscribe page on Substack. So we don't need this form right here. If you click on the form, you can see this form block right here. So you can just click on the three dots and click delete. That's going to get rid of that. What you want to do now is click on the blue plus sign at the top, and you're going to add the button block that obviously is going to add it right underneath. We're going to put the text of just subscribe, and we're going to link that to our Substack subscribe page. So you're going to paste in that link. So it should look something like this. It has your standard HTTPS. It has your Substack username substack.com/subscribe. So that's basically the format of what that's going to look like. And then you're going to again hit the arrow to submit, and it's going to look blue. So now this button is going to take them to that subscribe page on Substack. And I think that is the simplest and best option for you right now. So again, this is done. I'm going to click save, and again, click on the desktop icon to make sure we see that last block on mobile. So this is what it's looking like on mobile. I think that looks fine for now, and I'm just going to call that a day. So it is fully done, and let's see what that looks like live. So in order to see what that looks like live, there's two options. The first one is as soon as you hit save, you have this little update at the bottom, and you can click on view page. That's going to take us straight to it, and this is what that's looking like. So now it's much nicer than what it was before, but what we need to do is now make this our default, because remember, we had our latest post as default. So in order to do that, we're going into customize at the top, And then we're going to go to homepage settings, and where it says your homepage displays, right now it's displaying your latest post, but we want to make sure it's a static page now, and we will select the home page. So once that is selected, we will get back to the post page once we finish the blog page. But that one is done. We're going to click publish, click the X to come out of there. And now that is fully done. So this is what your homepage looks like. When they click on these categories, it goes to your category archive. So anything that is categorized as a cookie is there. Anything that's categorized as cakes is there, which we have 3 at the moment. And that's what your category pages are looking like, which is nice. Crochet, we also have some posts there. And then you also have your journaling here. So basically, as you add more posts, this is going to start populating. When someone clicks on your logo at the very top, it is going to take them back to this page. So for example, if you were in the cookie recipes and you click on the logo at the top, now it's going to this versus the feed. And same with the link on the menu, it is now going to the page. So that is all fully done, and we can move on to our next page. So what we're going to modify next is your about page. To get to the about page, you can simply click on the menu if you want, or you can go back to the dashboard by clicking at the top and clicking dashboard. I'm just going to click on about. That's going to take me straight to the page that we want to modify. And then I'm going to click at the top where it says edit page. Now, this is what comes with the template of that free recipe blog, and we did delete all the images. So as you can see, there's a little question mark here because the image cannot be found. So you can simply click on this block right here, and you're still in the image block, and we can click replace. That is going to now replace that image that we deleted. Click on either upload if you haven't uploaded the image, or open your media library, and now you can see all the images that are on the site. And actually, before I upload that, I do want to make sure I delete this image that came in with that template that we added for the categories to make sure we're not leaving behind any residue that's going to bloat your site. So simply you click on it and click delete permanently. Okay. And I did that a little bit too fast, but basically if you wanted to delete an image, any image, you click on the image, and then on the right hand side there's this text link that says delete permanently. It asks to confirm, you click OK, and that's basically how you get rid of that image. So for the image that is going on the about page, I am going to select this image right here and then click select, and that's going to add that right there. And then we can just edit the text as it's here on the template. So hi, I'm Victoria. And then I'm just going to paste in some text. You don't have to be super thorough. It's just a little bit of text that tells people something about you, as it also relates to the topics that you're talking about on the blog. So that is now all done. I'm going to click save, and I'm also going to see how it looks on mobile. So again, click on desktop, click on mobile. And this is now what that's looking like. We will fix this issue in a second because we don't want this text to show up. But that is a setting universally that we need to arrange. But other than that, everything else looks good. The text looks fine. If you wanted this spacing to be a little bit less, what you can do is click on the main row layout, which is this one right here. And if you go on your settings on the right-hand side, you do have this setting here called the row gutter in this instance, and you can make it smaller, none, and that's going to bring things up a little bit. So I'm going to keep it at none so that it's a little bit less scrolling, and everything else looks good in this case. And I'm just going to hit save again, and this is all done. Now we can view the page right here. So as you can see, this is what this page is looking like. However, we need to get rid of this about that is just basically no information. Now, this is a setting that we want to arrange for all of our pages. So for that, we're going to go into customize, then post pages layout, and then page layout. And the thing you need to uncheck is show page title. Now that has removed that. Now the other setting that this has, it's showing this shade right here because it is currently set for a box display of the page. We're going to remove that by selecting unbox. So that way it doesn't have any of that shading. It looks a little bit more like a normal page. And that is basically all you need to do in the universal settings. Click publish and then X out again. So now this is how the about page is looking, which is pretty good. And we can move on to our next page, which is the blog page. Now the blog page has to be created. So we're going to go back to the dashboard. Again, you hover over Victoria Bakes at the top on the left-hand side and click on dashboard. And then over pages, you can just go to add page. For this, we're just going to call it blog, and we're going to click publish. So we're just creating the blog page. And then we're going to click on it, view page, which is going to have absolutely nothing on it. And then go to customize, homepage settings. And then where it says posts page, we're going to select the blog, then publish, and then the X. So now the blog is actually going to have your whole feed with the sidebar. Now, as you can see here, this actually kept the title section, which we don't want to show here either, but because this is not technically a page, it is showing a feed. That's why it has this right here. So in order to remove that on an individual basis, we're going to click edit page. Now this will give you a notice right here that this is currently showing your latest post. So that tells you immediately that no matter what you put here, it is just going to replace that with the latest post feed. So you don't need to edit anything inside of here. But in order to remove that header section of your title, you're going to click on this page settings button, which is next to the K from Kadence. So we're going to click on that. And then where it says page title, we want to use disable for that. Then click save and then view the page again. And now you don't have that at all. So now it looks a little bit cleaner. So this is now your main blog page with your full feed of posts. As you add more posts, there's going to be pages down here at the bottom. So if we go back to our main site, our main button at the top, which is going to take us to now our custom homepage, the button that we added at the beginning, so that was right here, the first thing people can click on, read my blog, will take them to this feed with all of the posts. Now, the last thing that I want to do relating to the blog is I want to add this feed of posts to our menu. As you can see at the menu top, we only have home, then recipes with some of the recipe categories, and then lifestyle with the lifestyle categories and our about page. But we don't have the main feed of posts. So in order to add that to our menu, we're going to hover over Victoria Bakes here, and then you can actually access your menus right from here. So go to menus. Now, this is our main primary menu that we can see here. Obviously, it has all of those options that we have added. On the left-hand side where it says pages, we want to search here for the blog one. It does not show up in most recent, which is fine. We can click view all, and we're going to select blog and then add to menu. Now, that is going to add it all the way at the bottom. So I'm going to drag it at top here. And again, make sure that it's not under, so it's not indented. You want to make sure it's one of the main ones. And then click save menu at the bottom. So now that is done and finished. And in order to see the page, we don't have that view page link at the bottom. So we can hover over Victoria Bakes at the top on the left-hand side and click visit site. And now this is what that is looking like. So if they click on blog here from the menu, they will now land on your blog page. So the only thing that's left to do is add your contact page, which we actually created the page because we added it to the bottom. So I'm going to click on the link that we have here at the bottom that says contact. And what comes standard with a free recipe blog from Kadence is an actual form. Now, I recommend you keep things very simple instead and don't use a form, just add email address that people can send you an email so you don't have to get into adding form plugins or anything like that or having issues with forms not working because that can happen. So we're going to keep things simple. So we're going to edit page. And then once you get into the page, you just want to delete the whole thing that's here. So select the row and click the three buttons at the right-hand side here and click delete. So now that is completely clean. There's nothing on it. We're going to go back to the design library. We're going to search for contact. And then we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom and we're going to choose find us, the location map hours 12, which is also a free option. And then we're going to add the text here, contact, which again, I think it feels a little bit big. So I'm going to make it large instead. So your email address, what you want is two things. You're going to have to change the display text that is here, but you also have to change the link. So when you have the text already there, you click on it, you see that this little thing pops up here. That is what is currently set for the link. You can click on edit, which is this little pencil tool right here. And you don't want to get rid of the mail tool. So you just want to edit the rest of your email, which in this case, that's what it is. And I'm going to click save. So just make sure that you leave all of that beginning part. And then here, same thing. I just want to make sure I edit the part that is the email. So now that is fully done. And when they click on that, it's going to go to my email for this site. Now, the next thing is going to be your social media icons. You don't want to add your phone number. So I'm going to replace the word phone with social. And then I'm going to delete this text right here. So what we want to do is click on the three dots to delete that block and click delete. And we want to add your social media icons. So for that, I'm going to click the blue plus sign, and then I'm going to search for social. And then I'm going to pick social icons. Now from here, this gives you another plus sign, which means add block. This is where you're going to search for your social media platforms that you're using. So if you click plus, you can either choose the ones that are popping up right now, or you can search. So in this case, I'm going to choose Instagram. So I'm going to click it, and then I'm going to go back to add. I'm going to put Pinterest, and I'm going to put YouTube. So now the buttons are there, but as you can see, they are grayed out. So that is because we need to add a link. If you click on it, now you can paste in your link. So again, we're going to click that here. You're going to add in your link and then click the arrow, and then button again for this one. And then after you add the last button and click the arrow, so now all of those are not shaded like they were before, they are full color now. So now the thing that I want to make sure is that they are centered in this space. You can see this is 3 columns because we see the blue lines. So I want to make sure they are centered in this column. In order to do that, you can click on the button at the top here that says change item justification, and I'm going to choose justify items center. So that is adding them in the center of our column. And then the last thing that I want to make sure is you can leave them with the colors, which are kind of like the brand colors of the platforms, or if you want, you can make them a solid color kind of evenly. If you wanted to change that, or even to change the size, you would have to click on this parent block. Remember that you have the main settings right here. So this is actually showing you settings necessarily for the YouTube, but you can also click on the parent, which in this case is your social icons. And now that gives you a couple more settings on the right-hand side. If you click on this button, which is the styles, it looks like a circle, black and white circle next to the gear. That actually gives you different options for how your items are going to look. Right now we have it for default. That means it's going to use the platform colors, but you can also just change the icon color. Let's say you want your icon color to white and the background color to one of your brand colors, and that's going to make them all even. So you can choose to do that as well. But I'm going to actually revert back to no colors and leaving them with the brand colors. Now, once you are on this social icon setting, obviously you have your settings on the right-hand side, but you also have this extra button that says size. If you wanted to make them a little bit smaller, you can, but with buttons, remember that people have to have space in order to click on things. So I think leaving them as normal is good, but if you wanted them smaller, you can make them smaller or larger. I think normal is good, but I just wanted to make sure you know where that is. And then when you click out of it, now it's nice and centered in that area. And then the last thing I want to do is, again, your button to subscribe to your Substack. So I'm going to change where it says address to newsletter. And I'm going to delete this text block right here. So again, if you click on it, you can click on the 3 dots and click on delete. So that now gets rid of that. And now to add a button, we're going to the blue plus sign at the top and we're going to select buttons. If you cannot find it, again, you can search, but we're going to add button and I'm going to select subscribe. You're going to paste your link directly to your subscribe page from your Substack and click that arrow. So now it looks blue. And if you click out of it, now that looks completely done. So I'm going to click save and I'm going to check in, remember, on mobile and see how that looks like. So I'm going to click on this desktop icon and switch to mobile. And this is what this page is looking like. It has contact, email, social, and newsletter. I do think that the spacing here is a little bit too big. So again, you can click on it and bring that up and make sure that the bottom one is same. So they're both on medium. And then I'm just going to click save right here. And that is basically done. So I am going to now click on view page and see what that's looking like, which is a very simple contact page. We don't want to give people too much information or too much design here. And again, forms can then give you more headaches or more trouble, and you don't need that right now. So just a very simple contact page so they can reach you if they need to. And that is basically it. All of your pages are now fully customized and done. So let's go over them real quick. You have your main page, which is your front page of your site with all of your main categories, latest posts, linking to your main feed of the blog, and also your subscribe to your newsletter. Your blog link is now added to your menu. You have the main feed of your blog page right here as well with your sidebar. You have your about page, which was already linked and now has been customized with your information. And you also have your contact page, which is nice and simple, but at least a way for people to contact you.
All right, so there you have it, your blog pages fully customized. Again, we did our home page, about page, contacts page, and a dedicated blog page. So now we've come to the end of all things customization with your blog. Next, we are going to talk more about keyword research. And no, we're not talking about all those keyword tools you see everyone advertising and selling to you. We are going to show you how to find out what real people are searching for so that you can create blog posts that align with you and your content, but you're also serving the need of readers. So be sure to check out that video next.